He left me at 12 weeks pregnant, and his mother knew the whole time. I should have known from the way she hugged me at Christmas. Too long, too tight, like she was saying goodbye instead of hello. And when she pulled back, her eyes were glassy, like someone who'd already mourned something I hadn't even realized I'd lost yet. I was 12 weeks pregnant when Adam left. Exactly 12 weeks, the day after our first ultrasound. I'd tucked the sonogram into the corner of our bathroom mirror, assuming he'd smile every time he saw it. Instead, he disappeared. No note, no call, just silence. His phone went straight to voicemail. Our shared apartment? Empty by noon. Half his clothes gone, toothbrush missing, charger yanked from the wall, and a single envelope on the kitchen table with my name on it, written in his rushed, barely legible handwriting. I can't do this. I'm sorry. Please don't contact me. That was it. That was all I got after 3 years, countless vacations, whispered dreams, and exactly one heartbeat on a grainy black and white screen. I crumbled. My best friend Camille drove 2 hours the second she heard. I remember her voice as she read the note aloud, slow and disbelieving, like it would make more sense if we just pronounced it right. He didn't even say the word baby, she whispered. No, he hadn't. Because in Adam's world, consequences didn't exist. Only escapes. But here's where it gets worse. 2 days after he vanished, I got a text. Not from him. From his mother. Hey sweet girl. Just checking in. How's the nausea? Did you try that ginger tea I gave you? XO Linda. I stared at my phone for 10 full minutes before I could respond. Finally I typed. He's gone. He left. Took his things. No explanation. Her reply came fast. Too fast. Oh honey. I'm so sorry. He's just overwhelmed. Men panic. Give him space. And that's when I knew. She knew. She knew he was leaving. Maybe not the exact day, but the plan? The exit strategy? The emotional bomb he dropped? She helped pack the fuse. I didn't reply. But over the next few weeks, the pieces started falling into place. A neighbor mentioned seeing Linda's car outside our building the day before Adam left. Said they were hauling boxes to the trunk. Together. Camille found a new lease in Adam's name dated a week before he vanished. A 1-bedroom apartment 3 towns over. Signed, sealed, already decorated, according to his Instagram, which he forgot to block me from for 3 whole days. The final nail? A voicemail. From Linda. Sweetheart, I know you're hurting. But you have to understand he's not ready. He didn't choose this. None of this was planned. I told him to be honest with you, but he's scared. He doesn't hate you. He just can't be a father. He didn't choose this? I played that voicemail 20 times before I deleted it. Not because I wanted to forget, because I didn't want to start believing it. Because the truth was Adam had chosen. Not the baby. Not me. He chose himself. And Linda? She wasn't a helpless bystander. She was his cover story. My pregnancy got harder after that. Not medically, just emotionally. I was alone. Not just romantically, but cosmically. The kind of alone that makes grocery stores unbearable, and doctor's appointments feel like court hearings. Every ultrasound became an act of defiance. Every kick was a reminder. I might be abandoned, but I wasn't broken. Linda sent gifts. Onesies, blankets, pregnancy pillows. I returned them all. Then, around my 30th week, she showed up. At my door. In person. I just want to help, she said. I stared at her. Help? Like you helped him vanish? Her face cracked for the first time. He was going to leave no matter what. I just didn't want him to hurt you worse. So you made it neat. Clean. Easy. For him. She swallowed. I loved you like a daughter. Then you should have told me the truth. You should have stopped him. Or at least warned me. She looked at my stomach. I want to be in the baby's life. I laughed. Not out of humor but grief. You don't get to skip to grandma. You helped erase the father. She left in tears. I didn't hear from her again. Until 3 months after my daughter was born. A letter arrived. Handwritten. No return address. Her name is Violet, it said. She has your eyes. I'm sorry for everything. I was wrong. I see that now. I don't expect forgiveness. Just wanted you to know. I see her in every dream. I folded the letter carefully and tucked it into the back of Violet's baby book. Not as an olive branch. As a warning. This is what betrayal looks like when it wears pearls and calls itself Mom. Adam never resurfaced. Not for the birth. Not for the papers. Not for the first fever or the midnight feedings or the first time Violet said, Mama, with a shaky, syrupy voice. But I did. I showed up. For every moment. And in doing so, I became something far stronger than a girlfriend or a daughter-in-law or a victim. I became a mother. And no one can run from that. It started with a knock. Not on the door. On my daughter's school record. Grandmother listed as emergency contact. I stared at the form during the parent-teacher conference, my mouth going dry. I had never added her name. Not once. But there it was, written in looping cursive, Linda M. Thomason. Is everything all right? Mrs. Green, Violet's kindergarten teacher, asked gently. I nodded too fast. It must be a clerical error. I'll get it corrected. But the error wasn't clerical. It was calculated. Linda had been quiet for years. After that letter, I never responded. I didn't return her gifts, didn't answer her holiday cards. Violet didn't know her. I never spoke her name. And yet, somehow she was inserting herself. Again. The school confirmed the contact change had come through an authorized guardian. When I demanded proof, they showed me a form with my signature. Only it wasn't mine. Close. But not quite. The slant was wrong. The way the R curled into the next letter? Too fluid. Someone had forged it. I filed a formal complaint. Had my lawyer send a cease and desist. Thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, I was served. Petition for grandparent visitation rights in partial custody. The papers read like a novel written in reverse. Twisted timelines. Invented memories. She claimed Adam had always intended for Violet to have a relationship with her. That I had emotionally alienated her grandchild. My hands shook as I read it. She listed the gifts she'd sent as evidence of a long-standing relationship. The emergency contact form as proof of active involvement. And the kicker? A handwritten affidavit stating I had mental instability and untreated postpartum depression. That one made me laugh. Bitterly. Because the only instability I'd shown was trusting the wrong family. We went to court. I brought witnesses. Camille. My OB, Violet's pediatrician. My therapist. Every one of them painted the same picture. A fiercely loving, protective, stable mother. No red flags. No negligence. Linda brought photos. Old ones. Me and Adam. Me at baby showers. Me with my head in a toilet at week 7 of pregnancy while she rubbed my back. She needed me then, Linda said on the stand, her voice trembling with practiced grief. And Violet needs me now. The judge didn't flinch. He asked for evidence of regular contact. There was none. He asked when she last saw Violet. Linda hesitated. Never in person. But I love her. Love requires presence, Miss Thomason, the judge replied coldly. Not performance. Her petition was denied. But her face as she left the courtroom chilled me. Not angry. Not devastated. Determined. I changed Violet's school. Took unpaid leave. Reaped our home security. Because I knew what that look meant. Linda had lost custody. But she hadn't let go. It was one of those sticky summer nights when the air feels like a warning. Violet had been tossing in her bed, too hot to sleep, her curls clinging to her forehead. I cracked her window and turned on the ceiling fan, then kissed her cheek and promised I'd check in soon. Downstairs, I curled up on the couch with a cup of tea and an old blanket, dozing in and out to the lull of some documentary I couldn't follow. Until I heard the floorboard creak upstairs. Not the subtle groan of settling wood. Not the wind. It was distinct. Human. I froze. Then I heard it again. Quiet, cautious, like someone trying not to wake the house. I grabbed my phone in one hand and a heavy ceramic lamp in the other, creeping up the stairs with my pulse hammering in my throat. At the top, I paused, listened. The sound had come from Violet's room. My baby? I pushed the door open. And there she was. Linda. Standing in the moonlight at the foot of Violet's bed, her hand pressed to her mouth, eyes fixed on my daughter like she was looking at a ghost. Linda, I said, my voice low and shaking. What the hell are you doing in my house? She turned slowly. She looks just like Adam. Get out. Please, she whispered, stepping toward me. I just needed to see her. Just once. I swear I didn't touch her. I would never. You broke in, I said. You broke into my home. The back door was unlocked. I used to know the code, remember? I thought if I saw her maybe I could let go. I felt the heat rise in my face. My grip tightened on the lamp. You don't get to let go. Because you never had her. She's not yours. Linda blinked like I'd slapped her. You don't understand what it's like to lose a child. No, I hissed, stepping between her and the bed. But I know exactly what it's like to be abandoned with one. And you helped him do it. She flinched. I pointed to the door. Leave now, or I swear to God, I'll have you arrested so fast your pearls won't know what hit them. She took one last look at Violet, tears welling in her eyes, then brushed past me and disappeared down the stairs. I didn't sleep that night. I held Violet against my chest, listening to her soft breathing, one arm wrapped protectively over her little body. And I realized something. I wasn't afraid of Linda anymore. I pitied her. Because somewhere in her twisted, fragile mind, she really believed she deserved to be in Violet's life. Not because of love, but because of control. Because she had lost Adam, and couldn't stomach losing what she saw as his legacy. The next day I filed for a restraining order. Had security cameras installed on every corner of the house. Switched all the locks. And I told Violet the truth. Not the whole ugly mess, but enough. That some people think they can take what doesn't belong to them. That family is more than blood. That love is proven by presence, not promises. She nodded, her little brow furrowed, and said, like you always show up. And Daddy never did. It hit me like a punch. Not because it was harsh, but because it was true. She remembered. At 5 years old, she knew who had stayed. And who hadn't. That night, as I tucked her in, she held my hand tighter than usual. If she comes back, you'll protect me, right? I didn't hesitate. Always. And I meant it. Because Linda hadn't just broken into my home. She had broken the last illusion I had about her. And from that day on, I wasn't a scared young mother anymore. I was Violet's shield. And I had nothing left to fear. I found out on a Tuesday. It was raining like the sky already knew. The email came from a law firm in Phoenix. Subject line. Notice of estate proceedings, Adam Thomason. I thought it was spam. I hadn't heard that name spoken out loud in years. But there it was. Real. Legal. Final. He was dead. Motorcycle accident. Rain-slick freeway. No helmet. He died instantly, they said. A clean break of the neck. No suffering. I read it 3 times before I could breathe again. Then I just sat on the floor and stared at the wall. I hadn't seen Adam in over 5 years. No calls. No cards. Not even a birthday check for Violet. His death should have felt like a shadow vanishing. Instead, it felt like a ghost walking in. Camille came over that night with takeout and wine. I didn't drink any. You okay? She asked, already knowing the answer. No. But I'm not broken. We were quiet for a long time. Then the letter arrived. Not from the law firm. From Linda. To whom it may concern. I am writing to request a review of guardianship rights for my granddaughter, Violet Thomason, in light of my son Adam's untimely passing. As the only remaining biological connection on his side of the family, I wish to exercise my rights to preserve his legacy and ensure Violet knows where she comes from. It went on. 3 pages. All in her perfect, slanted cursive. The same handwriting that had forged a school form 5 years ago. This time she wasn't just asking for visits. She was asking for joint legal custody. Her case hinged on legacy, on identity, on blood. She claimed I had erased Adam, turned Violet against her heritage. That Violet had a right to half her roots. It sounded poetic, almost noble. But I knew the truth. Linda didn't want Violet. She wanted to rewrite the story. Adam's abandonment, her complicity, the years of silence. None of that fit the fantasy. So she'd found a new ending. One where she swoops in after the tragedy, rescues the innocent child, and becomes the grandmother she always claimed to be. Only I wasn't letting her write it. My lawyer was livid. This is exploitation, plain and simple. She waited until Adam died so he couldn't testify against her. We prepared everything. Documentation, witnesses, the police report from the night she broke in. I even included Violet's drawings, family portraits with me, Camille, her school friends. No mention of a father. No space for a grandmother. But it was Violet's statement that shattered the court. She was 6. We practiced it for days. When the judge asked if she knew who Linda was, she nodded. She's the lady who watched me sleep without asking. You could feel the air suck out of the room. Linda's lawyer objected, called it inflammatory. But the damage was done. The judge leaned forward. Do you want to spend time with this woman, Violet? Violet tilted her head, thinking. She didn't want to see me when I was born. Now she wants to be in pictures. I think she wants a pretend family. Silence. The ruling came down hard. No custody. No visitation. No further contact unless initiated by Violet in writing after her 18th birthday. Linda didn't look at me when she left the courtroom. But she looked at Violet. Like she still believed the story could change. It can't. Because I was there when Violet took her first breath. And I'll be there for every chapter that follows. It began with a school assignment. Family tree. First grade. Draw your parents, grandparents, cousins if you know them. Most kids giggled as they added stick figures and scribbled dogs into the margins. But Violet came home quiet. She slid into my lap that night, warm and small, and said, Mom, can you help me with the tree? I don't know what to put where Daddy goes. I froze. We'd made it 6 years. 6 birthdays. 6 Christmases. 6 nights of her asking why we weren't like the other families and me deflecting with kindness and cookies. But she was done with stories. She wanted truth. I took a deep breath and said, okay. But only if you're really ready to hear it. She nodded. So I told her. Not the legalese. Not the betrayal and bullet points. I told her the truth like a bedtime story with no fairy tale ending. That there once was a man named Adam. He was handsome and funny, and at first he made me feel special. That we were going to have a baby and I thought it would make us a family. That I was wrong. That he got scared. That some people run when life gets hard. Her eyes didn't tear up. She didn't gasp. She just said, but he knew about me, right? He knew I was coming. I nodded. He did. And he still left. Another nod. She was quiet for a long time. Then, did I do something wrong? My heart shattered. I pulled her into my arms so fast it startled her. No, baby. Nothing. There is nothing you could have done. He left because he was broken. Not because you were. She cried then. Not loudly. Not for long. Just a soft, slow leak of something that had been building inside her for years. That weekend, we burned the last of his things. The ultrasound photo he never came back for. A hoodie that used to smell like him until it didn't. The envelope with the forward goodbye. Violet watched the fire with wide, steady eyes. Does this mean he's really gone now? She asked. Yes, I said. But we're still here. After that, she started drawing different kinds of family trees. Some had one parent. Some had 2 moms. One had a dog and a teacher and a neighbor she liked, and she labeled it, Real Family. She asked about Linda once. I told her the truth again. That Linda thought love meant ownership. That sometimes grown-ups confuse control with care. She thought about that. Then she said, I think some people want a story more than they want a person. And I realized she was already wiser than half the adults who tried to claim her. That spring, we planted a tree in the backyard. A real one. Small and awkward and slightly crooked. We named it ours. Roots where we chose. Branches where we grew. And not a single piece of it belonged to the past. It came in a padded envelope. No note. No return address. Just a cheap silver chain with a tiny urn charm nestled in pink tissue paper. Violet thought it was a gift. She held it up to the light, fascinated. Is it perfume? I took it from her gently. Unscrewed the cap. Inside, a small paper slip curled like a secret. Contains partial cremains of Adam Thomason. May this piece bring healing. I nearly dropped it. Linda. It had to be. The restraining order hadn't stopped her. She just changed tactics. No more lawyers. No more courtroom drama. Just emotional landmines disguised as gifts. Violet watched my face. Is it bad? I forced a smile. No, sweetheart. But it's not a toy. She nodded. She was 7 now and sharp. It's him, isn't it? I paused. Yes. Can I keep it? I knelt down, took her hands in mine. You don't need ashes to remember someone you never knew. She looked relieved. Okay. That night, after she fell asleep, I wrapped the necklace in black cloth, slid it into a new envelope, and wrote 5 words on a sticky note. This is not yours to give. Then I mailed it back to Linda's last known address. 2 weeks later, I got an email. Not from her, but from her attorney. My client has made several good faith attempts to initiate a relationship with her granddaughter, including the offering of a personal memento. She is requesting voluntary mediation. I didn't reply. Instead, I wrote my own letter, addressed to Violet, to be opened on her 18th birthday. Inside, I explained everything. Adam's choice, Linda's campaign, the necklace, the courtroom, the night I found someone watching her sleep. Every protective instinct I followed. Every time I said no. I didn't frame myself as a hero, just a mother. A mother who knew that sometimes the greatest love is not allowing broken people to shatter something new. Violet wouldn't wear a piece of her father on her neck. She didn't need ashes. She had answers. And she had me. It happened in late spring, the kind of afternoon where everything feels soft and safe. I was on my lunch break when my phone buzzed the school's number. Miss Harper? This is Ms. Callahan, the front office. Everything's fine now, but there was an incident. My chest tightened. Linda. She'd shown up at Violet's school during pickup time, dressed like every other suburban grandmother, floral blouse, oversized sunglasses, polite smile. But there was nothing casual about her presence. She had a photo. One of Violet, clipped from a holiday card I'd sent years ago before I'd gone no contact. She told the receptionist she was late to pick up her granddaughter. But Violet knew better. They pulled her from class. Told her grandmother was in the lobby. She blinked, confused. Which one? Ms. Callahan said. She said she's your dad's mom. And Violet, God, this kid, looked straight at her and said, I don't have a dad. And I don't have a grandma who comes uninvited. They walked her back to class. By the time I arrived, Linda was gone. The school staff was shaken. Ms. Callahan apologized a dozen times. She had ID. She was calm. We had no idea. I didn't blame them. Not really. Linda had always been careful. Legal boundaries didn't scare her. Social ones didn't stop her. But the one she hadn't counted on, the one she couldn't manipulate, was Violet. I took my daughter home early that day. We stopped for ice cream. Laughed about sprinkles. But in the car, Violet got quiet. She looked sad, she said softly. I know. Why does she want me so bad now? I thought for a moment. Because she lost something. And instead of grieving it, she keeps trying to replace it. But I'm not a replacement. No, baby. You're not. She stared out the window, then whispered. I didn't feel scared. Just annoyed. Like she was pretending to know me. It was such an adult thing to say, it broke me a little. That night, she drew another family tree. Just us again. But this time, she wrote something beneath it. Chosen people stay. I hung it on the fridge. A reminder. That resilience isn't something I taught her. It's something she inherited from survival, not blood. It was right after her 8th birthday. We were lying in the backyard on a fleece blanket, watching stars peek out between the branches of our crooked little tree. She'd gotten a telescope from Camille, a paint-your-own journal from me, and a handmade cake with way too much frosting. It had been a perfect day. So when she turned her head and said, Mom, can I ask you something weird? I wasn't expecting it to shatter me. Of course. She hesitated, picking at the edge of the blanket. Do I have to keep Thomason as my last name? The breath caught in my throat. You don't like it? She shook her head. It doesn't feel like mine. I don't know those people. I know you. I want our name to match. I tried to speak and failed. My voice cracked. You want Harper? She smiled. Yeah. It sounds like me. It wasn't about erasing Adam. Or denying biology. It was about belonging. Choosing who you are, not being tethered to who left you. The next day I made the calls. Filed the paperwork. We talked through it with her school counselor. With Camille. Even with my mom, who cried when I told her. She's not changing who she is, I said. She's claiming it. The judge asked her one question. Why do you want this name? She said, clear as church bells, because it's the one where I'm loved. The gavel dropped. The court clerk smiled. And just like that, Violet Harper stepped into her new name. We celebrated with milkshakes and matching bracelets that said Harper in little silver beads. I caught her looking at hers later, twisting it gently. Feels like I'm home now, she said. And I realized I'd spent so long protecting her from the past, I hadn't noticed how ready she was to shape her own future. Not as a survivor, but as someone who chose love. Chose us. And wore it like a name she'd grown into all along. I found out through an attorney's letter. Linda Marie Thomason passed away on September 3rd, due to complications from pneumonia. In her last will and testament, she named Violet Harper as the sole beneficiary of her estate. No warning. No apology. Just death and inheritance as if one could erase the other. I expected Violet to be confused, maybe even sad. But she read the letter, looked up, and said, "Is this her final trick?" She was 9. I sat down on the rug beside her. I don't think it's a trick. I think it's the only way she knew how to say she was sorry. She could have just said sorry, Violet said flatly. The estate wasn't massive, a modest retirement account, some jewelry, a condo in Scottsdale. But to a girl who'd known absence more than affection, it was strange treasure from a stranger. We met with a probate attorney to discuss our options. Violet fidgeted during the meeting, then asked, "Do I have to take it?" "No," the lawyer said gently. "You can decline. Or redirect it. It's your legal right." She thought for a long time. "Then can I donate it? To something that actually helps kids?" The attorney smiled. "Absolutely." So that's what she did. She created the Violet Harper Resilience Fund, a name she chose herself. It provides therapy grants for children recovering from abandonment, custody trauma, and grief. She even helped design the logo, a crooked tree with deep roots and wild branches. The only thing we kept from Linda's estate was a locket. Violet opened it once. Inside was a baby picture of her and a note folded into the back that read, "Forgiveness is something I never earned, but maybe I can leave something behind that helps you find it anyway." Violet placed it in a shadow box with the words, "Love is not a performance. Legacy is not a bribe." She never wore the locket, but she kept it on her bookshelf not as a tribute but as a boundary. And when people ask her now about her story, she just says, "I come from a line of women who learned to protect themselves." Then she smiles and adds, "But I get to write the next part." I sat in the front row, clutching a tissue, trying not to dissolve before she even opened her mouth. Violet Harper, class of 2035. First in her class. President of 2 clubs. The girl who once stared down a courtroom and rewrote her last name with a crayon. She walked up to the podium in soft blue heels and a white dress that looked like starlight. Her curls framed her face like a crown. She didn't bring notes. "When I was younger," she began, "I thought family was something you were born into. I thought it was automatic. A bloodline. A last name. A room you either belonged in or didn't." Her voice was steady, soft but commanding. "But I learned something different. The hard way, sure. But the true way. That family is not blood. It's not law. It's not obligation. Family is the person who shows up, every single day, even when it's messy. Especially when it's hard." I could see heads nodding around me. Teachers who knew. Friends who'd heard pieces of her story. My mother taught me that. She taught me that love is not earned by being easy. It's proven by being constant. That protection is a language. That silence can be survival, but voice is power. She smiled then, a flash of light across a shadowed stage. There were people who tried to shape my story without asking me. Who tried to rename me, rewrite me, claim pieces of me they didn't nurture. And for a long time I thought I had to let them. Her hands tightened slightly on the sides of the podium. But then I realized something. You are not obligated to carry the weight of someone else's regret. You are allowed to say no. To walk away. To become. There was silence. Deep and aching. Then she looked out at the crowd. This diploma, this stage, it doesn't belong to the people who left. It belongs to the ones who stayed. Who listened. Who held me when I asked the hardest questions. Her eyes found mine. "So this one's for you, Mom. You were my tree when everything else fell apart. You were the one thing I never had to doubt." I cried. Openly. Along with half the crowd. She ended with one line. "Family is not who you come from, it's who you come home to." The auditorium erupted. And I realized then she hadn't just survived. She had transformed. Into a woman who could tell her story and own every word.